So you get into the general election if you're the nominee for your party?
I will be the nominee for my party, Chris. That is already done, in effect. There is no way that I won't be.
Well, that's Hillary Clinton crowning herself the Democratic nominee, and yet the party's nomination process is still in progress. Bernie Sanders is reminding America of that. He issued this stinging rebuttal to her comments. He said, quote, "In the past 3 weeks, voters in Indiana, West Virginia, and Oregon respectfully disagreed with Secretary Clinton. We expect voters in the remaining 9 contests will also disagree. And with almost every national and state poll showing Senator Sanders doing much, much better than Secretary Clinton against Donald Trump, it is clear that millions of Americans have growing doubts about the Clinton campaign." Joining us now with reaction, Fox News contributor and Sirius XM Patriot host David Webb and pollster Lee Carter. It is great to see you both. Lee, first to you. The Sanders campaign makes a really solid point.
A really solid point.
This is not over. And if it were, Hillary Clinton wouldn't be losing state after state. Now, the Democratic contests, as you know, are not winner take all.
That's right.
Everybody gets a participation trophy. They're proportional.
And they're redistributed.
Yeah, they are redistributed.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that voters aren't expressing a preference, and the preference is for Bernie Sanders.
That's absolutely true. And I think this week he also made a really good point where he said, you know, we've got to have a new day in the Democratic Party. We dial tested that. It was off the charts. People are saying enough is enough. This isn't a coronation process. The voice of the people wants to be heard, and it's happening on the right, and it's happening on the left.
Okay, so he's basically the American Hugo Chavez economically.
Yeah.
I disagree with everything Bernie Sanders has ever said, prescriptively. But he is running on something that he believes. He's running a very sincere campaign.
Right.
She's running on her ambition. Doesn't he deserve a voice, even if you disagree with his conclusions?
Even if you disagree with him, he deserves a voice in the American system. The problem is the Democrat nomination system is not a representative structure. They created the superdelegates so the party has control, and Bernie just has
Wait, I'm sorry to interrupt you, David. This is the Democratic Party? The small
Democratic
D, as in
Party.
democracy, as in people participating, but it doesn't sound very democratic.
No, it doesn't sound. They have a less democratic process than the Republicans, as arcane as the Republicans are. But Bernie Sanders should get used to redistribution because proportional, they get votes, he gets delegates, she gets delegates. But in the end, the party commands the superdelegates. They're what, 516 of them behind Hillary Clinton? It's over, Bernie. But you know what he is? He's the leader of a movement. He will leave it to Elizabeth Warren and to Kirsten Gillibrand and others who will take the party further left. And Democrats are saying they don't recognize their party anymore.
You know, it's really interestingly, I think David's right that she's right. She's likely to be the nominee.
Oh, absolutely, she's right.
She's likely to win the contest, but he won the argument long ago. There's nothing that Democrats are talking about that he didn't interject into the conversation.
I mean,
he's in charge,
true.
no?
He's totally in charge, and she might be right, but it doesn't matter that she's right. What she needs to do is acknowledge that this movement is real, that people feel this way, and by ignoring it and saying this, it makes her seem totally tone deaf to so many people who are supporting Bernie Sanders, and she needs to convert those people to votes, because we know right now 1/3 of them say they'd rather vote for Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton. So if she doesn't listen to them, if she doesn't say like enough of this already, she has to say, look, I understand people are frustrated, and here's what I'm going to do about it. You can't just turn them away and dismiss them.
It's so simple. Why did Trump win? Why is Sanders, despite his many limitations and his age and the fact he honeymooned in the Soviet Union, why is he doing so well? Because he's running on an economic message, crazy as it might be, aimed at the middle class. Why doesn't Hillary wake up and recognize that's the key to winning?
Because she is what the Bernie supporters tell me when I go to their rallies. She is stale. She is the establishment. I ask them for one-word answers. She's the 30-year-old rust bucket in car terms that's been in the Democrat Party for this long. And Sanders and Trump went to the American people. You got the billionaire who resonates with the blue collar, and you've got the socialist who resonates with the budding young socialist who, by the way, will never want to live through his policies. But this is what works right now when people are disaffected in America with failures by government. Think about it. Think about how and I have talked about smaller government and federalism over the years in our many discussions. People have said you failed, both sides have failed too many times, and we're disaffected.
But, I mean, how lame is her campaign? And I'm saying this just as objectively as I can be, that she can't pivot sufficient to put this guy away when the lesson is so clear. Speak to people's economic anxieties, and yet she's still talking about global warming and transgendered bathrooms and things that people just don't care about, because why would they?
It's also, I mean, it's partly policy for sure, but when she says, stand with me, I stand with her, what does that even mean?
Exactly.
And when I talk to the
So what would you
voter,
counsel her to say? I mean, you do this for a living. You've got your fingers finger on the pulse, you're a pollster.
I mean, when she talks about opportunities and possibilities, if she would start to tell her own story about how much she's overcome, how she went to law school, what it was like, and how she wants to create opportunities and possibilities for all people, and here's how she's going to do it, that would be a totally different conversation. But right now, I'm fighting for you. I'm with her. Nobody knows what that means. And the fighting for her message for her seems absolutely impossible. It doesn't seem credible or authentic coming from
She
her.
hasn't driven a car in 30 years. She's
That's
surrounded
exactly
by
right.
bodyguards. I mean, talk about out of touch. She's the most famous woman on planet Earth.
For doing
How can she speak
basically
to the middle
nothing
class?
but getting elected and traveling a million miles. Look, let's assess the totality of the Clinton campaign. She has no consistent core messaging. She's unable to leave Bernie Sanders, who's got his teeth sunk into her left flank, because she simply is a bad candidate. She's unable to walk away from him and begin to pivot to the center, where both candidates need to come to get independents, white males, white females, and other groups to win the election. She is simply not going to be that person ever, and Sanders is going to sink his teeth in because he's thinking long term. How do I move socialism forward?
It does look that way very, very quickly. What is he going to ask for at the convention?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't either. But it's going to be big. It's bigger than rewriting the platform. I mean, that's just silly. Nobody cares about your dumb platform. He's going to want something big.
He's going to have to want something big, but I have no idea what it. I mean, is he
Okay,
going to ask
I
for
think we
VP?
should have a contest. I don't host this show very often, but I hope you will tell Sean, text Sean, Twitter Sean, Facebook Sean, what do you think Bernie Sanders is going to ask for in return for his endorsement? It's going to be huge. Thanks so much for
It's going
joining
to be
us.
huge. I've asked that question on my show many times.
It's the
I don't
greatest
get an
question of
answer.
the season.
Yeah.
He's going to say something like, wear a funny costume. We'll see.